Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we're starting a new series featuring Alabama Adapted Athletics. We're starting with Ryan Hynes. He's the head coach of the women's wheelchair basketball team and also a former player at University of Alabama. Please welcome Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you and adapted athletics in general, but especially at Alabama. But first, could you kind of give me some background on who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Ryan Hynes. I'm the women's wheelchair basketball coach at the University of Alabama. This will be my fourth season as the women's head coach.
Amazing. How did you find wheelchair basketball? How did this become your thing?
I grew up playing pretty much any sport I could. And when I was younger, I had cancer and went through chemo, radiation, surgery, and all that stuff when I was really little. Went into remission when I was 4 or 5 years old. Didn't have any issues as far as mobility after that. Again, like I said, I played every sport I could growing up. And then when I was 14, I had a spinal cord stroke that was caused by the tumor that they couldn't remove all of. It was actually growing with me and it compressed on my spinal cord. So I had an incomplete injury, went through rehab and kind of during my summer that I was in the hospital going through rehab, one of my therapists actually kind of introduced me to who ended up being my high school coach. Jim Zomchek was his name. And he kind of introduced me to the sport of wheelchair basketball. I really didn't know much about it at that point. Went to one practice as soon as I got out of the hospital, and from there on, I was kind of hooked. Played throughout high school, got recruited my junior senior year. Made the great decision to come to the University of Alabama. I played here, and now I'm coaching. So just living the dream.
I agree. Sounds pretty fun. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your story and giving us that background. I think that helps a lot. And you've been in the sport for so long, which is super exciting. I think that's great. But I guess how Alabama, like what makes this program different for you and what makes it special? And how did you end up at University of Alabama?
Yeah, I think kind of going through it's similar to, I guess, any sport, get recruited in high school, you go on several visits, get a feel for the campuses, the coaches, the athletes that are there. And honestly, when I came on my visit to Alabama, I just kind of felt that like family, that vibe right away when I got here. And so I just kind of fell in love with the program from the start, and it's only grown through my playing career. And then once I ended, I actually taught a couple years in the Tuscaloosa area, and then the opportunity to become the men's assistant coach came up in 2016. Was lucky enough to get that job, and then I was lucky enough to be where I'm at now, which is the women's head coach. And that's kind of something that family that I felt when I got here is kind of the culture that I really wanted to build when I took over as the women's head coach. And I think we've done a good job of that, and that's something that we preach every day. And the girls that I have on the team now are really just an extension of their family. Like we have that family culture that we've created here, and that's what makes me love this program, and that trickles down to our staff as well. Like it's just great. Like if I need something at the house, I can call Ford, who's the men's head coach, or I can call Evan, who's our tennis coach. And it's just great to have that family environment at the workplace as well.
For sure. I think out of all of my interviews and everybody that I've talked to, wheelchair basketball seems to have a very family feel, which I love. And maybe that's why I cover it so often now on the show. But follow-up question to what you're talking about here about the program. How would you sell the program to somebody who is considering to come play for you or play for Alabama Adapted Athletics in general?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would mention is just what we talked about is we are a family. We've got kids that come from all over the US, even all over the globe. We've got kids from all over the place. And I think just having that family environment here helps. It helps being away from their parents and their siblings and friends that they have from home. So that's kind of the first thing that I would preach to them is, and I think they can feel it when they come for a visit, is how tight knit we are. And then the next thing I would say is we're in this awesome facility. I'm in my office right now. We're the only one specifically that has a facility specific for adapted sports. So you're going to get all of the, the things that you need to be successful on the court. We have an awesome academic university as well. So you're going to get everything you need to be successful in the classroom. And then we've got a great support staff. We have a full-time athletic trainer. We have a full-time assistant coach, Carolina, who's my assistant coach. We have a full-time strength and conditioning coach. So we have every tool that you would need to be successful on and off the court. So that's kind of like my selling point is why not? I mean, we're a great program with a family environment. We have everything that you would need to be successful, and we're going to do everything we can help you do to reach whatever goal you have as far as basketball is concerned, as far as academics and beyond.
My favorite thing you said was why not? Because I think a lot of times people kind of consider it, or they consider doing athletics for a long time, but why not? I think
Yeah, you only have so long, so you might as well make the best of it while you can play, especially at this high level.
Definitely. I really want to come down and see the facility. I know I shouldn't mention Auburn, but I went down and visited Auburn's facility a few weeks ago when I was in town, and I can't wait to come see you guys sometime. Hopefully,
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be fun. But okay, cool. I want to ask you about a national championship. What does it feel like? And how special was this? Just kind of walk us through it a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to be a part of a few different championship teams now, and it's funny because every team is different, every feeling's a little bit different, and I don't know, this last year was just a really special group. We had 5 graduating seniors, so it was really nice to kind of send them out on top. It's really hard to describe, honestly. It's just a lot of work goes into it. A lot of people just see the games and see the end result, but they don't see the off-season work that the players do individually. They don't see all the work that they do in the weight room, all the extra work that they do on court outside of practice and small groups. And so it's for me as a coach, it's rewarding to see that hard work pay off. But again, it's cool to be a part of the whole process and see how it starts and where it can end.
Definitely. You led into my next question perfectly. For people who are listening and maybe they want to come play wheelchair basketball at the collegiate level, can you just kind of talk about what the experience is like for the athletes? And I'll ask Abby this as well in her show, but kind of schedules, trainings, and things like that, and just what it takes to be an athlete on your team.
Yeah, it's really, we try to be, our big motto here at Alabama with our adapted program is we try to be the same and give our student athletes the same opportunities they would have at any other athletic team on campus. And our training reflects that. So just kind of walk you through a normal week in a student athlete's life. They have, for example, this semester for us, we have early morning practice. We practice at 6:45 every morning, Monday through Friday. So that's 2 hours a day. On top of that, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have lift. That's another hour. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, we have what we call small group, which is working more on individual based skills. So really 3 hours of the day, they are doing basketball. They're doing something related to our sport. And that's not counting extra things that they are required to get, like shot charts. So that's, a couple extra hours on court. They have to get study hall hours, especially your freshman year, just to get off to a great start academically. So that it's really like having a full-time job on top of being a full-time student. So it's a really big commitment. But like I said, I think we give you all the tools that you need to be successful as a student athlete. And my big thing is you are a student athlete. So we really try to put the student first, and make sure that we're all doing well in the classroom. And we put a big emphasis on that. And in the spring semester, we had a 3.67 team GPA. So that's something that I'm, just as proud of as wins and losses on the court. So it's definitely important to us.
For sure, for sure. Now I want to talk about where your athletes go after, or even while they're still there. I feel like lots of them, Team USA, do they go on to play at other places? I guess what happens after Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, we have several current athletes that are here that were on Team USA. We have a girl that was on Team GB. So we've got current athletes that play for their national team. We also have a lot of athletes, former athletes that are still playing for their national team. We have a couple that are playing in the pro league in Europe. So we've got athletes that are still playing the game at a really high level. And that's something that we've created here, is that kind of championship culture and family culture. But it's just great to stay in touch with, girls that have graduated, are either working or still playing at like a professional level, or still playing for their national team, and just staying in touch with them and seeing how they're doing. But yeah, we have athletes. It just depends on what their goals are, whether it is to play at a professional level, play at a national team level. And then we've got some that just, go straight into the workforce, and that's great too. We've given you a great education, and you're starting your career after basketball.
That's awesome. I love that. There's so many ways to answer that question, because everybody has their own path and things, but I know you've got a lot of athletes that do lots of really cool things. So I'm so excited for them. I think that's great. But cool. Just kind of not necessarily wrapping up, but kind of our closing section of questions are some that I'm going to ask everybody in the Alabama series that we're putting together. But first, what has the world of adaptive athletics taught you about yourself?
I mean, I think what it's taught me is really, no matter what the obstacle is, you can figure out a way through it. You might need help in it. It might look a little bit different than you might expect, but you can figure it out. Like when I was first injured, my first thought was, it's like, oh shoot, am I going to be able to play sports again? So for me, adapted athletics just opened a whole new world for me, and kind of made me realize, okay, I can still play sports. Obviously, I can still do everything else. So I think for me, it was just another way to continue to play sports at a high level. And it opened doors for me here, came to Alabama on a scholarship, and still involved in the program that I love, and get to still play and coach the sport that I love every day. So it's really meant everything to me.
That's so awesome that you've come back, or full circle, I guess, going through the program. Yep. And now coming back, which is so fun. I guess I was going to ask you a question about Alabama. Where legends are made, is that what the motto is? Is that University of Alabama?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I think that would be so exciting. I can't say that my undergrad had the same kind of powerful motto, but University of Alabama, where legends are made. How does that feel?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty powerful, I don't know who came up with it, but kudos to them. They did a great job. I think people see, our football team, even our adaptive athletics program, and the championships, and all that different stuff. But like I said, we have a great academic institution as well. And I think that phrase just means all sorts of different things to all sorts of different people. But people come in at all sorts of different levels of basketball, all different levels of academia and knowledge base. And I think what that phrase means to me is this is where you come to kind of sharpen the knife and get really good at whatever your craft is, and leave and be ready to contribute to whatever it is that you're doing after you leave here.
Definitely. You said they come from all different backgrounds and all different kinds of things. I guess, where do your athletes come from, or how do they find your team?
Yeah, all over the place. We have we've got a lot of girls. We've got 6 girls scattered throughout the US. We've got 1 girl from Alabama, as far away as California. We've got Georgia, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I think I'm missing a couple, but all over the US. And then we have a girl from Israel. We have a girl from France, a girl from Canada, and we have a girl from, who am I missing on the team? We've got kids from all over the globe. GB, who I mentioned earlier, sorry, Great Britain. It comes in all sorts of different ways. The ones in the US, obviously, it's a little bit easier to recruit, get to see them play at the high school level. The girls internationally, a big part of that is just word of mouth from former players. They go back and play for their home country. They go back and play for club teams near them and just kind of talk positively about our program. A lot of times I'll have those athletes will send me an email. It'll kind of go from there. They'll send me some game film, hopefully come for a recruiting visit. And that's how we get some of those international players. But like I said, we've got a lot of girls throughout the US as well. And 3 of which were on the Team USA that just won bronze in Tokyo. So that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. I didn't sleep very much during the Paralympics.
No, it was, the time difference really killed my my sleep schedule.
Yes, definitely. It was worth it to see them. Awesome. Cool. 2 more questions for you. First, what's the team up to next? I guess, what are y'all focusing on? Kind of what's going on in-house?
Yeah, right now we're kind of finishing I call it our preseason practices. And then next week we're kind of in full swing with our 5 days a week, normal practice schedule that I just kind of walked through earlier in this podcast. And we've got a really good team as far as a lot of talent, but we have a lot of new faces. Everybody that's here is, whether they're in their first or their second year in the program. So a really young team with a lot of talent, but it's going to be interesting how we all come together. I know we have the talent to do it, but it's going to take a lot of work to come together and a lot of work in practice. But it's exciting to see, even in the first few weeks of our preseason practice, just how far some of them have already come. And we're just kind of getting into the full swing of it. In 3 weeks, we'll have our first games. So we're looking forward to that. That's kind of our next marker is our next tournament. So we're really excited to get started, I guess.
I'm excited for y'all. I'll be cheering from New York.
Perfect.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. Last question for you. I end all of my shows on advice. So what is one piece of advice you would give to younger Ryan?
Oof, that is a great question. I guess I would say just look to take advantage of whatever opportunities are in front of you. Don't leave any stone unturned. Forge relationships, stay in those relationships. You just never know. I've been lucky enough to meet some really cool people and that have done some really awesome things. And it's cool to say that I've played with them. It's cool to say that I've coached them. So I guess I would just say, don't leave any opportunity out there. Try to do everything you can, see new things, meet new people. Just enjoy every day and look to get better every day.
Great advice. I love ending the show on this question because hopefully they're inspired and go out and turn over all the stones.
Yeah.
I love it. Cool. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Ryan, thanks so much for sharing your story. Join us next time on Adventures with Aggie to hear from Abby Bullocky. She's a wheelchair basketball player for Team USA and a gold medalist from Tokyo 2020, as well as a player on the University of Alabama women's wheelchair basketball team.